Why don't you just vanish? My daughter blurted out in the midst of our argument. Her mother chimed in. We'd be better off without you. I stayed silent, gathered my belongings, and walked away. The next morning, I saw my phone flooded with 27 missed calls. I remember the chill of the night air as I walked away from our home, the weight of my daughter's harsh words echoing in my ears. The streetlights cast long, lonely shadows, each one a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between us. My heart was heavy, not just with the argument, but with the realization that I had been more than just physically absent. But as I stood there, phone in hand, hesitating to call, I knew this wasn't just about an argument over Emily's future. It was about the unraveling of our family's past, secrets hidden in letters that could change everything we thought we knew. What would I find when I returned home? The scent of pine and damp earth filled the air as I stepped out of my car, the crunch of fallen leaves underfoot a familiar sound of autumn. My mind was still tangled in the web of blueprints and deadlines, the weight of my latest project pressing down like the heavy clouds above. But as I approached the front door of our home, the warmth of the light spilling out onto the porch was a stark contrast to the chill outside. I could hear voices, raised in a way that made my heart sink. It wasn't the usual hum of family life. This was different, charged with an intensity that I hadn't felt in our house before. Pushing the door open, I stepped into the living room where Sarah and Emily stood, their faces flushed with emotion. "Dad!" Emily's voice cut through the tension, her eyes wide with a mix of frustration and something else, something I couldn't quite place. "Tell her I'm not going to some overpriced school just because it's prestigious." Sarah's gaze met mine, her eyes pleading for support, but also carrying a hint of exasperation. "Jack, please, explain to her that we're not just talking about prestige. It's about her future, about opportunities." I held up my hands, trying to calm the storm brewing between them. "Okay, let's all take a breath here. Emily, your mother and I just want what's best for you. We've talked about this." "But you're never here," Emily's voice cracked, her words hitting me like a physical blow. "You're always at work, designing buildings for people you don't even know while we're here, dealing with all this." The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling over us like a thick fog. I looked at Sarah, seeing the pain in her eyes, the silent accusation that maybe, just maybe, Emily was right. I took a step forward, my voice low, trying to bridge the gap that had suddenly yawned open between us. "Emily, I know I've been busy, but..." "No, Dad, you don't get it." Her voice rose, her frustration palpable. "You're missing everything. Mom's been here, dealing with all of this, and you just come home and think you can fix everything. With a few words." The air was thick with the unspoken. The things left unsaid over countless dinners where I was absent, the missed soccer games, the school plays. My heart ached, not just for the argument, but for the realization that I had been more than just physically absent. Sarah's hand reached out, touching my arm, a silent plea for me to understand, to do something. But before I could respond, Emily's frustration boiled over. "You know what? I'm done with this." Her voice was sharp, cutting through the tension. "I'm moving out. I'll figure out my future on my own without your help." The words hung in the air, a cliffhanger in our family's story. The argument was about Emily's future, her desire to study abroad, and my insistence on her staying close to home. Sarah, caught in the middle, was trying to be the voice of reason. "Jack, she's old enough to make her own decisions," Sarah said, her voice tinged with exhaustion. I countered, "But she's still our responsibility. We can't just let her go off without considering the consequences." Emily, feeling cornered, snapped, "Why don't you just vanish?" Her words hit like a physical blow. Sarah, perhaps out of frustration or agreement, added, "We'd be better off without you." The room fell silent. I looked at them, my heart sinking. Without a word, I gathered my coat, my laptop, and my dignity, and walked out into the cold night. The chill of the air was nothing compared to the icy grip that now held my heart. As I walked down the street, the echoes of their voices replayed. In my mind, each word a reminder of the distance that had grown between us. I had always thought I was doing what was best, providing for them, but now It seemed like I had been providing everything but my presence. The streetlights cast long shadows, mirroring the darkness I felt inside. I stopped at the corner, my breath visible in the cold air, and pulled out my phone. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen, unsure if I should call Sarah, apologize, or just let the night swallow me whole. Instead, I dialed my brother, Mark. He picked up after a few rings, his voice groggy with sleep. "Jack, what's up, man? It's late." I just needed someone to talk to," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "I think I've messed up, Mark, really messed up." There was a pause, then a sigh from the other end. "Come over, Jack, we'll talk it out." I agreed, and as I made my way to Mark's place, the weight of the situation bore down on me. I couldn't shake the feeling that this argument was more than just about Emily's future. It was about the future of our family, our unity, our love. Mark's apartment was warm, a stark contrast to the cold I had just left. He listened as I recounted the evening's events, his face a mixture of concern and understanding. "You know, Jack, sometimes we need to let go to see what comes back," he said, his advice simple yet profound. I nodded, but inside, I was still grappling with the harsh words, the accusations, the feeling of being an outsider in my own home. I just wanted to protect her, Mark, to give her the best opportunities. "But at what cost?" Mark asked, his question hanging in the air like the smoke from his cigarette. "You've been so focused on building a future for them, you've forgotten to live in the present with them." His words struck a chord. I spent the night at a nearby hotel, my mind racing with thoughts of what had just transpired. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing incessantly. 27 missed calls from Sarah, Emily, and even some from friends. Panic set in. Had something happened? I called back, and Sarah answered, her voice trembling. "Jack, where are you? We need to talk." Her tone was urgent, not angry. I rushed back home, my heart pounding with fear and confusion. Upon arriving, I found the house in disarray. Emily was crying, and Sarah was visibly shaken. "Jack, we thought you'd done something drastic," Sarah confessed. They had feared I might have taken Emily's words to heart in a literal sense, perhaps thinking I'd done something to myself out of despair. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. "I just needed some space to think," I explained, my eyes scanning the room, noting the overturned furniture, the scattered papers. It was clear they had been up all night, worried, perhaps even searching for me. Emily looked up, her eyes red from crying. "Dad, I didn't mean what I said. I was just so angry," she sobbed, her voice breaking. The weight of her words from last night hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of how far we had drifted. Sarah moved closer, her hand reaching out to touch mine, a gesture of reconciliation. "We've been talking, Jack. Emily and I. We've realized how much we've all been hurting, how much we've missed you, even when you were right here with us." I nodded, feeling the lump in my throat. I know I've been absent, not just physically but emotionally. I thought I was doing the right thing, providing for our future, but I see now I've missed the present. The room was silent for a moment, each of us lost in our thoughts, the gravity of our situation settling in. Then, Sarah spoke again, her voice softer. "Jack, there's something else. We found something last night, something that might change everything." My heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Emily wiped her eyes, her voice steadier now. "Mom found some old letters, Dad. Letters from your mother. She never told us about them, but they talk about a family secret, something about your birth." The revelation hit like a wave, cold and unexpected. My mother, who had passed away years ago, had left behind secrets that could unravel the very fabric of our family. "What kind of secret?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Sarah handed me a bundle of aged envelopes, the paper yellowed with time. "It's about your father, Jack. It seems he wasn't who we thought he was. There's a possibility that you have another family out there, one you never knew about." The room spun slightly as I processed this. My entire life, my identity, felt like It was built on shifting sands. And Emily? I asked, looking at my daughter, whose life could also be affected by this revelation. She might have siblings she never knew about, Sarah said, her eyes meeting mine with a mix of fear and hope. We need to find out, Jack. We need to understand who we really are, as a family. The gravity of the situation was overwhelming. Here I was, thinking I was merely dealing with a family argument. But now, the stakes were much higher. The real shock was yet to come, revealing a twist that would redefine our family dynamics. We sat there, the three of us, surrounded by the remnants of our past and the looming uncertainty of our future, knowing that whatever came next would change us forever. Emily's eyes were still puffy from crying, but there was a new determination in her gaze as she spoke. "Dad, I've been keeping something from you," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I got an acceptance letter from my dream university abroad. I was scared to tell you because I thought you'd be disappointed in me for wanting to leave." The room felt smaller, the air heavier with each word she uttered. My heart, which had been sinking since the argument, now felt like it was being pulled into an abyss. I looked at Sarah, who had been silent, her expression one of quiet support for Emily. "I knew about it, Jack," Sarah admitted, her voice soft. "I was waiting for the right moment to bring it up, hoping we could discuss it together." I felt a mix of relief and guilt wash over me. Here I was, thinking I was protecting Emily, guiding her future, but instead I had been stifling her dreams, her aspirations. "Emily," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "I didn't know. I thought I was doing what was best for you by keeping you close, but I see now that I was wrong. I'm sorry." Emily's face softened, tears welling up again. "I didn't mean what I said last night, Dad. I was just so frustrated, so scared of disappointing you. I just wanted to go to my dream school without feeling like I was letting you down." The silence that followed was thick, filled with the weight of our unspoken fears and misunderstandings. I moved closer to Emily, taking her hand in mine. "You could never disappoint me, sweetheart. I want you to chase your dreams wherever I'd take you. I was scared of losing you, of not being there for you." Sarah placed her hand on my shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. "Jack, I've been holding on to things, fears, secrets. It's time we let go, for all our side." The gravity of the situation was palpable. Not only had we been dealing with Emily's future, but now, the revelation of my own past, my mother's letters, added layers of complexity to our already strained family dynamics. "I didn't know about these letters. About my father," I confessed, looking at the aged envelopes in my hands. "This changes everything, doesn't it?" Sarah nodded, her eyes reflecting the same mix of fear and hope I felt. "Yes, it does. But Jack, it might also be a chance for us to redefine who we are, not just as individuals, but as a family. Emily might have siblings out there, and you might have a whole other part of your life to explore." The thought was overwhelming, yet there was a strange sense of liberation in it. The secrets, the arguments, they were all part of a larger tapestry, one that was still being woven. "We need to confront this together," I said, my voice gaining strength. "Emily, your dreams are important, and we will support you in every way. And this," I gestured to the letters, "we'll face it as a family. No more secrets, no more holding. Back." Emily squeezed my hand, a small smile breaking through her tears. "Thank you, Dad. I was so afraid of this moment. But now, it feels like we can move forward, together." The room, once a battlefield of words and emotions, now felt like a sanctuary of understanding and new beginnings. We were on the brink of something monumental, a confrontation that could either fracture us further or knit us back together stronger than before. As we sat there, the three of us, the stage was set for a confrontation that would either break us apart or bring us closer than ever. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope, a chance to rebuild, to understand, and to truly be present for my family. We sat down, all three of us in the living room, surrounded by the remnants of our argument. I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. Emily, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much this meant to you. If studying abroad is your dream, then we'll support you. Tears streamed down Emily's face as she hugged me. Sarah joined in, and for a moment, we were just a family, not adversaries. The warmth of their embrace was a stark contrast to the cold. I felt last night walking away from this very room, but the climax wasn't just about reconciliation. It was about understanding. I realized I had been so focused on my vision of family that I overlooked what my family truly needed. My work, my projects, they had become my shield, a way to avoid the real issues at home. Emily pulled back, her eyes still wet, but now with a spark of hope. Dad, I want to go, but I also want to know about these letters about your past. It's all connected, isn't it? Our future, your past. I nodded. The letters from my mother lying on the coffee table like silent witnesses to our fractured family history. Yes, it's all intertwined. I've been so caught up in building for the future, I've neglected the past, and in doing so, I've missed the present. Sarah's hand was still on my shoulder, her touch grounding me. Jack, we need to face this together, not just for Emily's sake, but for ours too. We've been living with half-truths, and it's time we uncover the whole story. The room felt charged with a new energy, a resolve to mend, to explore, to understand. Emily picked up one of the letters, her fingers tracing the faded ink. What if I have siblings out there, Dad? What if you have another family? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. I felt a mix of fear and curiosity, the unknown pulling at the threads of my identity. We'll find out, Emily. Together. We'll go to where these letters lead to where your dreams take you, and we'll do it as a family. Sarah squeezed my hand, her eyes meeting mine with a depth of emotion that spoke volumes. And Jack, we need to start living in the now. Not just for Emily, but for us. We've missed so much, and we can't afford to miss more. The truth of her words settled over me like a comforting blanket. I had been absent, not just in body, but in spirit, and now, here was my chance to change that. You're right, Sarah. We'll make changes. I'll make changes. Emily, your mother and I will be there for you every step of the way. Emily's smile was tentative but hopeful. I want to know who I am, Dad, who we are, and I want to chase my dreams without feeling like I'm leaving part of myself behind. The letters, the dreams, the past, and the future, they all converged in this moment. I felt a resolve forming, a commitment to not just support Emily's dreams, but to explore the depths of our family's history. We'll start by reading these letters, I said, picking up the bundle. Then we'll plan. Emily, you'll go to your dream school and we'll find out about this other family if they exist. We'll do it together. The room, once filled with tension and tears, now held a promise of unity and discovery. As we sat there, the three of us, the stage was set for a journey that would redefine our family, not just in the eyes of the world, but in our own hearts. The true test of our newfound understanding was yet to come, but for now, in this moment, we were together, ready to face whatever revelations and challenges lay ahead. In the weeks that followed, we worked on rebuilding our trust. Emily prepared for her move abroad, and I took a step back from work to be more present. Sarah and I attended counseling to better communicate our needs and fears. The day Emily left, for her university, we stood at the airport, a mix of pride and sadness in our hearts. I'll miss you, but I'm so proud of you, I told her, my voice steady but emotional. As she boarded her plane, I turned to Sarah. We'll be okay, right? She smiled, squeezing my hand. Yes, Jack, we'll be better than okay. We've learned to listen, to really listen. And with that, we walked back to our car, not as a family in turmoil, but as one that had faced its darkest moment and emerged stronger, ready to face whatever came next together. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and our journey was far from over. As we drove home, the silence between us was comfortable, filled with the unspoken understanding that we were embarking on a new chapter. Once home, we sat down with the letters from my mother, each one a piece of a puzzle that could redefine our family. The first letter was dated many years ago. The ink faded, but the words still legible. It spoke of a love affair my mother had before she met my father, a man she described with such passion that it was clear he had left a lasting impression on her life. Sarah read over my shoulder, her eyes wide with the implications. Jack, this could mean you have siblings out there. A whole other family. I nodded, the weight of this revelation settling in. We need to find out more. We owe it to ourselves, to Emily, to understand our true lineage. Over the next few days, we dove into the letters, piecing together the story of my mother's secret love. It was a tale of forbidden romance, of choices made in the heat of youth, and the consequences that followed. The letters hinted at a child, a son, born from this affair, which meant I could have a half-brother somewhere in the world. The search for this unknown sibling became our mission. Emily, now settled into her new life abroad, would call often, eager for updates. Dad, have you found anything new? She'd ask, her voice filled with the same mix of excitement and apprehension that I felt. One evening, as Sarah and I sat with maps and old photographs spread out before us, the doorbell rang. It was unexpected, and for a moment, we both froze, wondering if this could be the moment we'd been waiting for. Opening the door, we found a man, perhaps in his late 40s, with features that echoed my own. His eyes, a familiar shade of green, held a mix of hope and uncertainty. Jack? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. Yes, I'm Jack, I replied, my heart pounding in my chest. I believe I might be your brother, he said, his words hanging in the air like a revelation. Sarah stepped forward, her hand on my back, offering silent support. Please, come in, she invited, her voice warm and welcoming. We sat in the living room, the same room where our family had once been torn apart by arguments, now a place where new bonds might be formed. He introduced himself as Michael, and as he spoke, the pieces of our family puzzle began to fit together. He told us of his life, of growing up with questions about his father, of the letters he had received from our mother, letters that mirrored the ones we had found. It was clear that our mother had loved both her children, even if she had to keep one a secret. The conversation flowed into the night, filled with stories, laughter, and the occasional tear. Emily, upon hearing the news, insisted on coming home for a visit. I need to meet him, Dad. He's family, she said, her voice filled with a newfound sense of belonging. As we planned for Emily's return, I realized that this journey, fraught with challenges and revelations, was not just about finding a lost brother, but about don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.